House of Sankofa, greetings, Umniswe Mvula. We're back with yet another installment, and today we have someone very special who I've interacted with for many years. I think since 1996, the gentleman has sort of crisscrossed my timeline in life. He's a singer, songwriter, composer, producer, pianist, Lord knows what else. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Zwai Bala.
Thank you.
Mr. Bala.
Thank you, Mr. Missy.
How are you?
Extremely well.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. But you still look like when I first saw you a Commissioner Street. Commissioner Street.
Utheni nekhombi xa
Yeah, DJ ikhona into ezakalayo.
It was on Fox Street, I think.
It was on Fox Street.
Voice of Soweto, right?
Yes, Voice of Soweto, yeah.
And I think back in the day, you guys had just come out with Take It Easy.
Take It Easy.
Which was an EP of some sort.
Yes.
Wasn't it?
Yes. Take It Easy.
Yes.
Running around radio stations trying to get interviews. But the world was so much smaller then, though.
It was, wasn't it? Because you knew where to go, quickly sample whoever you needed to, wait up, 24, 48 hours, boom.
You know what I'm saying?
Right? Now it gets so complicated, and with technology, you would think things would be sort of easier, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's certainly what's missing, what's been dissolved over time is just that personal relationship with people.
Right.
Now it's like, we even treat people like computers now.
We do, actually, we do.
Yeah.
And of course, there was a whole migration to YFM where the big explosion happened.
Yeah.
And we met once again.
Yeah. But it's amazing though how things are set up to work out for later. Because by the time CIA, I feel like Natis as CA-wise, we're part of the family.
You are.
Right?
Yeah, you were.
I think some of that groundwork was kind of like done, And sometimes it wouldn't even have to be just us as the artists themselves, but maybe a manager say, Vus knows Leo and so on. You wanna you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Still,
yes. And everything sort of connects together, to say, okay, we're having this, we're putting you guys on. Are you available? This and that, right?
Yeah. And we all want to make it happen, for ourselves, but having each other is so key to everything.
Yes.
Because the content we submitted, the radio that you gave and
right.
Zwai,
thank you for honoring the invitation to come through. I think we've been threatening for a couple of years, you and I, to just have a sit down and just, open up about just, certain things and this, illustrious life, you've had or still having, because I feel, there's still more to come, from you. We'll get there. Big elephant in the room is the current loss that, the collective has suffered in Tkzee.
Yeah.
You feeling the void?
Hey man, it's got different days, because kumbule that we weren't just a band. We were friends from like brothers from high school.
From school.
So it's not just like what's it like in studio without Magesh. It's beyond that. It's life without, And we know each other before we had children, before we were married, before we decided what to do with our lives on a personal level. So you'll have a lot more consistent reminders on almost everything that is life. It's part of growth, but it's heck of a difficult. And I think the less strong, is there such a thing, or the weaker you are in spirit.
Yeah.
When I say spirit, I mean even the wisdom of spirit.
The wisdom of spirit within.
Yes. Not just like, more than that. No.
Yeah.
There's wisdom that comes with spirit.
I understand.
And especially this is a spiritual thing. So yeah, I'm having my own journey, but it's important to live through it. And because it's through the living with all the emotions. I won't call it pain. I'll call it emotions that come with it. Some are reflections of stuff to be grateful for, and a lot of it is. And some is like, it's so overwhelming. It's like, and then some is the actual recognition of the actual being, just how massive he was. spiritually, like
aura-wise.
the aura-wise, and
Yes.
you won't always know how much a person has impacted people. A lot of times, unfortunately, until they're gone, which is okay. At least it's still a realization. But this man was actually extremely special. I can't just limit it and limit it to just calling it lyric. It's the mind. How you conceptualize these things and come up with them is not got to do with the words that you come up with. It's just, how does this man think? You know?
Yes.
A Tupac or a Steve Jobs or whatever, at some point, they've created so much stuff. And
Yes.
At some point, you need to think to yourself, actually, I'm interested in how this man thinks because it's coming from the same brain.
By the way, we're talking about Tukulo Mshengu Shabalala, part and parcel of the collective Tkzee, who's just recently passed on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so it's just so cool. He loved the group so much, you know. And I think at the bottom of his heart was the love for us and how much to him this was just family, you know. In many, when you say backbone of the group, you know, that's what I reflect on.
Yes.
You know, I remember years ago, I don't remember when, but we were touring and I'd say, but it's hard being in a group, eh? And then he says, it's also hard being alone.
So don't even think about it. Don't even think about going. Yeah.
So you know, so that to me talks to just how much he valued this, you know. Even when he was having his own challenges, but his music, you know, he showed up for, you know.
And you had your fair share of, I guess, disagreements as you would, because
you know
I mean, that's what gets you, you know, stepping to, you know, the next level.
Understanding each other and understanding society and just how we function as individuals.
Correct.
At least we are involved in the thought process. You know what I'm saying? It's not like umuntu uyazigqedela ngawe akwade and then uza kuwe manje hey mara wazi nokuthi phuma kuphi lento, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess we grew up. That's what I mean by we grew up with each other. We grew up on each other. You know. So it's a loss. However, whenever I say the word loss, I feel like such a spoiled brat because there was just so much more gains than losses in having each other,
having each other around. Yeah.
And I'm grateful for everything. None of us have ever planned to even be together. So we should not have that much of a problem, you know, just being separate by life itself. And we're brought together by life itself.
Yes. Yeah. And life dictates that, you know, we're just visitors here.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, we've been here before, but I mean, you know, and so the cycle goes, you know, you know, where we enter and we're out.
Absolutely.
And so on and so forth.
But the energy is my understanding of, you know, there's theory when I fall. And then, and then there's what you come to understand. Theory is the knowledge, but understanding is the real understanding. And I've come to understand energy because even since Tukulo has been gone, I've been feeling him and understanding him so much more, you know, as a spirit than I ever have.
Yeah.
Both now in terms of how he functions as well as then. This is what this guy was about. But so many things he could not put into words, you know. There's a lot of things that don't belong in words, you know, and it comes with just understanding. You know, when a parent says, trust me, my child, I know. Take it from me, okay? I don't have words to explain it. Just take it from me. You don't want to go there.
I know. You don't go there. You're going to get burned.
You know.
But just his swagger, his way about things, you know, the way he would say words or pronounce upon a situation. Just, you know, a being you know, of his own. You know, he really was just the Magesh, and there could just only be just one of him, isn't it? Yeah.
Look, and I think it's so important if you look at a unit like ourselves, which I can easily compare to a family or whatever. When you have that amongst you, you don't see it in its magnitude as someone who does not know like who's not in this fold, like everyday living, young Tala.
Sure.
And they just see just that. They're like, yo, Magesh is this and that. Whereas me, now maybe whenever it'd be like, he has a young Tina. You know, and that's the understanding that I'm coming to realize now. There's a lot that I was oblivious to because I was in the mix, you know, but to just rest assured that, you know, you love each other at the end of the day. Yeah. Would I get out of my, are you saying that I wake up in the morning to cause this to you?
Couldn't possibly.
You know what I'm saying? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Ah.
So let's stop questioning the lyric readings, but as long as you know where I'm coming from and you know what I'm about, what I set out to do every day of my life.
I mean, I always recall just, you know, the interactions I would have with him, you know, very small here and there, but it would be a, hey, Paulie, how you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm, no, I'm good, Kesh Kunjan. No, we're just keeping it tidy, man.
Yeah.
It's just keeping it tidy.
It's cute.
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute.
That's like,
yeah. Man. Oh, yeah. We really do miss him, and you know, I mean, he really came and he did his thing, and I'm sure wherever he is, his soul, his spirit is free.
Sure. You know, whenever we look at life with the view and the eyes of us, man, which can see a lot, but it's limited. But the thing is, we tend to live our lives according to what we think what we see is, or what we want it to be. So it suits our story, you know, to make it right. And now that I look at, like, what a phenomenon. And I think the guy lived his life. He really lived his life, and he did well. According to the standards that we qualify ourselves as, one for society to approve.
Right.
No, he wasn't there. Lapo, you would have failed dismally. Young Tol?
Yes.
But when you start thinking, he never needed any of that. He's lived a full life.
Full indeed.
And full life. Like, there's no regrets. You know, he experienced love, he experienced legacy, you know, and he went through it all, you know.
Went through it all.
And went out on a high. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
On a high. Let's talk about your beginnings. Uteneg etinaga fundin. Oh, and, you know, there's a song for me that just sort of paints a picture of where you grew up and how you grew up, which is a song taken from the album Indigo Child. I think the album came out, 2013, 2014?
2012?
2012.
Somewhere there.
Yes. Ndize.
No.
You still remember the song? Wasn't too long ago. Gugu Dekaya. Yes. Ooh, Sassy City.
Gugu Dekaya, ndilahlekile, ndifuna ugoduka. Khangela phaya, nangu thembekile, yena uligoduka. Wayesithi, ndize, nobolana, siyadlala.
Yeah,
the second.
that is my song.
So this song was written by Omnyutigela, Umdakwethu, Mkwati, Umavo, Solomon. He approached me when I was still working at Hugh, and man introduced him by a friend.
Right.
Oh, that's
wonderful.
You know what? And I wouldn't refer to myself as Umdokula.
Yes.
But I write songs.
Right.
Which is what I've always tried to say to these kings, to these kids, whether it's on pop stars or whatever, when they come to me, everyone that has a talent, whether of writing or whatever, but they all think they should be in front of a CD cover.
Right. You don't need to.
No, you don't need to. In fact, you've got a much better, I think you've got a much more relaxed life and fulfilled when you can still chill at Tinaga and just be submitting songs that you do, and you're not having to leave your family to move to Johannesburg. You know what I'm saying?
And earn your coins through that.
And folks don't know what you can earn a living just from your writings. You don't have to be running around looking for producers and so on. You know what I'm saying? So Umavoke comes to me with like guitar at and I start hearing some of these songs, but I'm like, oh, there's something so amazing with his writing and just on the guitar. So this song, I asked him, please, can I put it on my album? Because Indigo Child was grounded in terms of knowing who I am and being, first time I'm actually doing a project
fantastic
that is
album.
Clear, Thank you.
Just a lot of colors within it. You almost stretch your diversity in your musicality, and you take us through layers of music and genres.
Yeah.
Beautiful offering.
And funny enough, though, the real story behind even the conceptualizing of the album itself is I would submit songs or pieces to, say, for adverts or whatever the case may be, and or events or whatever stuff that I was working on. And what I like to do is that I like to give the client, say, 3 alternatives.
Okay.
Just to choose from. Maybe they're not quite sure, but maybe the other one I'll try and say, this is what I think you're trying to explain. Then the other one, this is what I think could work best, but I don't leave them with that. I give them, but the commercial world, they choose the cackest one of the ideas.
It's always the case, Yeah. And you think they chose the worst one, but anyway. Yeah.
But if you are stuck on like, I've been failing, if you call that a failure, which I never use. I never use failure and problem. Those words I don't use, hence, I have a problem with using the word loss. You know what I'm saying? So anything that's negative, because everything for me, I've grown into understanding everything as growth and being positive and finding solutions out of challenges, So to cut a long story short, so I started getting these ideas, gathering them together, and these were great songs on their own as those ideas. So I just developed on them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But I mean, it's amazing, a story you tell about the song Tkzee. Written by Umavo, you say, right?
Yeah.
But then somehow...
Yeah, so I added in that second verse. I'm like, no, but it needs to take me back to where I'm from, you know?
So you added that
I added in that...
which sort of paints that picture of your childhood.
Meaning I'm not man kula kwakho kumnandi. You've got all the great memories from there. If we saw life with this eye that I was telling you about, would have said, siyasokola, because there's something to compare it to, and young tall. And I think a lot of families may suffer a lot from that guys think as long as bafaka inyuku, or even mothers and so on, then they sharp, and there isn't an emphasis or seeing the importance of spending quality time with your loved ones. And that is valued. Then they'll say time is money, but then they don't look at time translating into value. You know what I'm saying? So that is what is about Kula Gogo. It was that time, spending time together, and this today ngumgidi okanye umcimbi or whatever we party, the next day ngumncwabo, yabona, like it's so many different things, and the community is so close knit.
Right.
There's different things happening in different families.
On other days,
you know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
Sidlala emlanjeni, namantombazana, you know what I'm saying? And just to reflect on that, and that is what makes us who we are at the end of the day.
I mean, it certainly does just paint a picture, of that childhood. And, you are out there in the Eastern Cape, but childhoods are childhoods. Whether I'm in a township here in Gauteng, but, to be Nomakulu is exactly what, you are experiencing now, while in Etinaga, And so, musicality, then how does that sort of grab a hold of you
as a growing child?
Well, as a growing child, but ndiyakuva bothetha ukuthi utatakho used to sing to a certain degree.
So Oprah Hugh, the last meeting I had with him, he used
may his soul rest in peace.
So
yes,
he would do most those overseas tours of his. When Tina class he's touring the northern hemisphere, having a nice time. Comes like, let's meet in Rosebank,
right?
And we met up in Rosebank this one particular time. I think it was the last meeting we had, and he says, I've been traveling the world, and everywhere I go, I've got filmmaker friends from LA to Australia and so on. I mean, he knows a lot of great people. So, Uti, these guys, all of them, they want to do a movie on my book, you know? And I'm like, I mean, it's a story. And then but Mzwandile, he says Mzwandile, what do you call it? But it's like, you know what? If there's any story I would like to do something out of, is your story.
Wow.
And I'm like,
didn't that just humble you?
That was like, so it says, your story is just full of music from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, so he's seeing, I just chat and tell my story, you know, as we're spending time together. But Yana, he's seeing something that is like extraordinary.
Worth the story.
Yeah, so it's like, there is a story for me.
Yes.
But if there's anything I'll dedicate, even though he never got to do it, but at least he planted that seed with me. Yeah. And also for me to recognize what I have and what I'm part of.
You
know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow. You know?
Yeah.
Those are the things, if I have to cry, those are the things that make me cry, not sad things. No, it's like, it cuts deep. So, just to reflect on that, because first of all, my folks met Bekula. My father was my uncle's best friend, and my uncle's younger sister was my mom, and born up Bekula anyway, you know? And that I'm like, the first time we came across him, he's from our hometown. So it was the first time.
The politician.
Yes.
Right.
So the first time we saw, because we'd see, hey, so eventually we come across him after years in P. So it's like, hey, boys, we're like, you know, he's like, let me tell you something. You boys can sing, but you will never sing like your father.
Like your father.
You know? And then for me, I was like, yo.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Now, they hook up Mama no Tata through my uncle, obviously. And then they start singing together as well. You know, they were touring and going around and busy soloist choirs up. So by the time Nasizalo and Nam Dikazo Bonisi signs of Andiakula, people would say, obviously, I mean, that makes sense. But they're sitting as close. Like, like there's no way, you know, these kids cannot sing.
Yes.
And that would become a kind of like a trend. And so both families are singing. So now we grew up with music at home.
Couldn't avoid it.
And I thought it was the way of life. I didn't know this was really special.
But this happens with other families.
Like I thought, I mean, if anything, maybe bonabana vai it nas ne vai.
Well, I guess vai.
But it's something really special.
Yeah.
So when the divorce took place, and I was 9 or something, and then we went and lived with my mom's family.
Yes.
Now, with a grandfather who was a choral composer.
Oof.
And he would be, I mean, I didn't know, when I was 7, I didn't know that I could sight read, is what they call sight reading now. I was just like, you know, it's in the other. I mean, I was helping out Matthew's singers, big choirs, I say Eastern Cape.
What's that? What's sight reading?
Sight reading is like when you see music for the first time and you just read it.
On paper.
Like in answer music.
On a music sheet,
yeah. I can tell by Yamba Soul and I can read it.
So you could just read it.
I was 7 years old and I was helping out adult choirs with their notes.
Yes, why was special for doing it?
Like, I'm realizing that stuff now.
Yeah,
you know, so, and I was helping out big choirs. When I talk of Matthew's singers, these are the guys that used to win those mass choir, competitions and the local choir, which my folks used to sing. And so my grandfather was a composer. So he would sit there and one of these A4 type-pack, these sheets that you get in a box for photostat. I didn't know it was photostat.
Right.
Because I was naive in electricity, yeah. So this guy would use those to actually compose, and you just sit there in the lounge with a cigarette, you know, and he writes these notes. And then you'd call whoever is in the house, Pingy, Zwai, who's else? Whoever is doing whatever in whatever room, cleaning, come, okay, when you grab the bass, you can grab the alto, you grab, okay, 1, 2, and then
let's check this, yeah.
And then you just sing it.
Yo.
So you'd get to hear his music right away, you know? And then from there, it's like, okay, cool, whatever it needs to. And then he uses the brown paper that you use to cover books for his scale.
Yes.
Then you use a Koku pen and write out. So that's basically what you call the projector stuff. And then that paper would be hung up in the garage, Tipex, whatever.
And then everyone would have an eye view.
Yeah. And then it goes like this. And then me now would be with the altos. My sister would be with the sopranos, just helping them with these notes. And that was a daily activity.
That's a most extraordinary story.
You know,
unbelievable.
It's crazy when I think of it myself. I'm like, that is insane. You know, that is insane. So by the time I was 10 years old, I had my own choir. And always, I mean, a lot older guys to come and help out. But I mean, I basically would be called upon to help out, especially with complex music notes, like Abo Handel, you know, those composers from overseas, you know, to come and help out folk with that. And so by the time I went to the Drakensberg, I would say...
You knew your story.
I knew my story. I just needed to know what it's called. And then I could be able to communicate with other musicians, be able to say, okay, this is what happens. This key is in such and such, this song is in such and such a key. This is how it goes. Young John?
So you just went there to just possibly, you know, when you got there, it was just absorbing the
it's like,
theory.
oh, this is what this thing is called.
Yeah.
But then also be able to work out. So the methods, the systems of getting somewhere and suspenses, whatever the case may be. And also then the reference that came with being in a music school. In terms of the amount of music that you're exposed to, the composers, the eras, but I was always connecting to us. Okay.
Right.
And to fast forward, that's basically how I was thinking by the time I did the Tkzee music. So I got it, because by the time I was thinking, they're trying to teach this here, but it must be so hard for these young white boys to just make sense of it, because it's theory. Me, I know it, I understand it.
Yeah.
So it was always just top marks. And that's how I basically even got into the Drakensberg, because of the music excellence from my Stedfords and so on. But my schoolwork was never great in terms of what it is. But now I know that what they may have called me stupid at school because of my marks. Now I know for sure why I never quite agreed with that statement, because I'm a scholar. I'm always reading now. But I'm reading stuff that I want to read. And I'm reading the truth.
The truth.
I'm reading the truth.
The truth.
Maybe it was the spirit in me that just didn't quite make sense. And it wasn't there to make sense. It was to pass.
There must have been that culture shock, though, you know, coming out of the Eastern Cape and into the Drakensberg, boys' school.
Yeah.
You already had your own choir. I guess you sang your own way, and you get there and it's chapel and all things bright.
No, but I had, we were singing a lot of choral stuff, which comes from that. From these guys. And
that was adapted from that.
Yeah. So I could fit, but hey man, just emotional intelligence and just the timing, as a light, which could have been tricky, but there was a lot. So when you
had
say
to adjust to a certain degree.
Yeah, but also I realized good day, I'm so much more mature. Look, this is the 80s, and I come from struggle nemizabalazo nokuchiswa kwezikolo nendoni yabona Eastern Cape yabona nomkhabulo ndiyawazi. You know what I'm saying? So and I scouted it. Hey, these boys, man, no, they know absolutely nothing. And yes, they may be racist, but it's not them. They're racist, the parents.
The parents.
And they're just pulling it through. So I recognize the opportunity immediately that I could make the difference in terms of how they relate to things. Also just by letting them know. And also I'm not a very personal person who gets it. I didn't like what you told.
Yeah.
I work with the actual understanding. So they would even have jokes about, say, black people. But the humor in it, the wit in it, I found so fascinating. I was like, that's actually dope. That's actually, because
yes.
You know, to like.
So you weren't taking it personally.
Yeah. So I was like really checking just not how different, exactly how differently we process stuff, even, you know?
Sure.
So it was awesome for me to even, it played a big role in me understanding the world where I am and you know, because I get it all. I've lived with everybody, you know?
Yeah.
So thank God that those opportunities were not just about getting marks or about music, but they really played a significant role special to me and particular to me.
I'm trying to track your timeline, within music and what, would have just influenced your life as a spiritual being. You talk of choral, music that you got into at a very young age. You get to Drunkensburg, it's more or less, the same Christian orientated sort of subject matters within the music as well. But of late, a couple of years ago, I was stumbling upon your tweets, Zwai. You came out of there, you've done a bit of gospel, Nabani Nawa, your brothers.
Yes.
And for me, looking from the outside, it was a showcase, but I know, religious, collective as brothers, bakhulele ecaweni, and things of such nature. And of late, I was noticing your tweets about just your spirituality and your growth thereof. And I was fascinated. And I think a couple of years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, there's been, tweets here and there that have been coming through from your timeline. And, I've liked 1 or 2 of them. And I kept asking myself, okay, Uzwai, ubone ntoni?
Yeah.
Because there seemed to be now a shift, a finding of one's self. Something must have sparked that.
Yeah, look, I think it's been over time.
Yeah.
A bit of what I've just told you now, as well as traveling the world from a young age. Remember going overseas for the first time, the age of 15, and went to the Far East. We did Taiwan, we did Hong Kong and
boys choir.
The choir. And on international tours, some parents who wanted to come with their sons or whatever, they could join us.
Yes.
And some teachers.
Yes.
On that particular trip, 1990, I think we're in Hong Kong. No, we're in Taiwan, I think, somewhere. And, visiting these Buddhist temples and all that. First of all, like, the parents are on their big, oh, wow, this is amazing. This civilization. Then they talk about, this is thousands and thousands of years of civilization. This is amazing.
Right.
When you go into these temples or whatever, praying places or whatever, sacred spots, those tours, they get told, like, no, take off your shoes, and cause you're walking in, and like, this is how, And a lot of this, I was like, but we have a lot of this, but we don't get this much admiration from the Europeans.
Gendo yethu apha.
Instead, I feel, I cannot bring out in those days because imtaka or they backwards. Even abantu bethu are looking at them as backwards. Yeah. And as we started to, over the years, we started touring a lot of other countries, and we used to sing whenever we're going to a country, we learn, if not folk songs from there, so it can be part of our presentation, folk songs and the national anthem. I mean, Desires Nangogi, Taiwanese national anthem. Forget the Greek and the, Taiwanese. But I was cultural in spirit, and I was checking Guti, even with belief systems, when you go to Muslim countries and it's like,
you comply.
It's but it's like, but this is the way of life. Like, Abamaz noya no mazu yeswap. Till now we've grown to be even scared of even saying you don't know. Oh yes, young child, like it's so it's like, at the end of it all, I was like, no, but actually what this says to me is that what you know does not mean it is all there is to know.
Yes.
I
get you.
And that's what I was like. And then I started over time, putting 2 and 2 together, and I'm a committal, what is it? I commit.
Yeah.
I commit and I like to do something with full understanding that there's even sense in this way, in Christianity, I wanted to go into it and
dig deeper,
what I'm saying?
Time to
let's
find
do
out
it.
more.
What I'm saying? I want to do it right. So, so I'm on a quest that I do things honestly, and it's from me. I'm not doing it for show, because already what I do is for show. A lot of it. So,
music,
so even when I would choose a church, I wouldn't, or if I'm in a big church, I did the whole Rhema thing. Even if I'm in a big church, I don't want to be at the front there. You know what I'm saying? I want to serve. I don't want to be like, hey, Zwai Bala, you know. I just want to be an ordinary. I do that the rest of the week, you know. So that's how seriously and humble I was, and how I surrendered myself to just being receptive and I guess in a way of worship, you know, like saying like obedient, you know.
Yeah.
So over. Well, ultimately it came to when I was 35.
Yes.
When I was 35, I think for the first time I could ask myself in his face, like, Taba, some choice. Chief, do you actually really buy this?
Yeah.
Something I've always thought, I'm not sure I buy this, but I was even too scared to ask myself, you know?
Yeah.
And I said one day, but Mzwandile, do you actually buy this? And I could not answer that honestly. I'm like, actually, I don't think I've never actually bought this. It's never made sense to me.
But then what's the alternative? Because you don't know nothing else.
Yes.
That's how you've grown up. That's what you've been indoctrinated, I guess, towards.
Yes. So I guess you find yourself in the wilderness. Oh man. And once you wake up, you start seeing how hectic stuff is.
Yeah. Because all along, things are just here.
Yeah, because you're all in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Once like how when you know, like you become this outcast and but when you know you're touching on truth, you're not going like this, just asking questions.
That's all.
And there's no answers. Yes.
I mean, there's always.
I got my demon, weak. And the thing is, when I sit here, when I sit here, Chief, I'm not a gospel artist.
Yeah.
Then say that. Okay?
Yeah.
When I sit.
What are you?
And I sit and I engage a gospel song, Izawuba Lando by Bizai anointing. And now I've just declared that I'm not a Christian. Now you don't go but I still connect with your spirit in the same emotional experience. Even more moving, actually.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So now I start thinking, but then, okay, if I know the story is not it, at least when it pertains to me, it's not it. But then why is it in music that they still that feeling?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that thing? Because we always associated it with whatever they've branded it. The Holy Spirit. I know the Holy Spirit is here. You can feel the Holy Spirit. Now I know what it's not the Holy Spirit. Not that Holy Spirit.
Not that Holy Spirit.
You know? So what is it? And that kind of process over time led me to understanding, no, but this is with us. This resides amongst black people. We are so spiritual in our being as abantu.
In everything.
In everything.
Yeah.
So now I no longer want to end everything with for thine is the kingdom and the glory and the praise and the, and the hype and the hoo-ha and the credits and the, no. The credits must come here. Because our stuff has been taken from us. I see the land. That's nothing compared to the ideas and nobuntu betu. And was packaged and was branded and sold back to us as something else.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it and the damage and I think that's been caused over decades, centuries. And that's why we as House of Sankofa meaning to go back and retrieve what's been broken in between.
Yes.
We are attempting to do just that, to find common ground now as we move forward, but we need to go back and pick up on all of those breaks that happened in between it all, so that when we move forward, the road ahead is clear. And that's why we call the podcast House of Sankofa.
Yeah, Ashe. And that's just beautiful, because what I'm finding is, like I've been saying now, that the more I grow is the more I understand what was going on and no one had answers for me for. In terms of just me, what is going on and what was actually happening. So the better sense I make, the better sense I make is the better sense I have to make when I was going back. And there's so much noise and there's so many different things coming from different directions trying to determine what might be, but we don't know because we don't, Chief, we don't even bother to just find out. Just to find out, okay, the Methodist Church, when did it arrive here again?
Yeah.
If you are part of the Methodist Church. But we're very quick to say, "Hayi thina singamaDutch ekhaya." Do you hear what you're saying? NingamaDutch.
Njani? Singama-Methodist.
Yeah.
Mawese.
And then they start naming igama lomntu who maybe broke away from the original Ethiopian church. Hayi aba bakadwane. It's like, dude, it just gets so hectic, you know?
Because I always say is why, they didn't call themselves missionaries for nothing. They were on a mission to convert. And they did exactly that, missionaries. And we still talk about them, especially in the Eastern Cape, to say, that's why you Eastern Cape people, speak good English.
Yeah,
because as missionaries, and
I think as Umxhosa was Eastern Cape, there's so much that having lived with other tribes and that I see as izinto thina besizenza ngcono ngazo, like especially into ezikhumshileyo. It's like actually that's actually more suffering than, you know what I'm saying? We actually stuck on a lot, and the worst of it is that we discriminate against each other based on those standards, and we qualify each other and over others based on those standards.
Yes.
You know, which is a sad thing. I mean, on this journey, I'm sure you can you can agree with me that as you're advancing your narrative, as you're going forward, it's what you struggle with is not what those that have put these standards on us or Uyangithola?
Yeah.
It's your own people that you have to go through first.
It is. Yeah. Because you get the hardest backlash.
The hardest backlash.
From your people, isn't it?
That is the sad thing.
Because, I mean, I guess within your journey now, the spiritual journey, backlash from, I guess, close friends, family even, to say.
But now family and friends. Family and friends that I brought into the gospel in the first place.
Also, now you are neglecting them. You're running off into the sunset without them.
But then it's going to be like, I am mad or nangondo.
Yeah.
But dude, I brought you into this thing.
Yes.
So if Lomundu who led you there seems to be shifting, are you not interested in asking, tell me, am I missing something? You know? But no, where you are led to is where you can get locked down. Then nothing else matters. Nobody else's opinion. In fact, you shouldn't even listen to it. Like, fucking Jay, stigma nje isaqala nje. Uyabona?
Yeah.
And that's really the sad thing. But yes, there may be backlash, but Chief, knowing that you have the truth. I know that there are things that I know that I can ask any caller. They will not have an answer because there is no answer. Yeah, well, so truth has given me comfort.
Are you feeling lighter?
Jonga Paul ikaenda ndidigwe ngayo umane ndinyuka phande yapha ngaphambili ndiyodi I need to change my life back to God and ndathi no man ante ndichinja man.
Yeah.
How possible is this? It's not possible, Mos. So this perfection or this Christ-like life, whatever that means, I can come back to that because it cannot exist when Jesus Christ in the Bible left lapho ekhulele khona at the age of 12 and only came back at the age of 30.
Yeah.
He was absent, Chief, for 18 years. Now, he was absent. And the answer was Wabuya, 2.5 years, uyapona. So now, if you're going to say, no, to be Christian is to live a Christ-like life when you've got no reference or to the muntu how he really handled real tribulations and trials and Uyangithola nento zobudoda nokujola Uyangithola and all those things.
So it means somewhere you must disappear and then come back. And
no, but the thing is, no one says, when you say Christ, like basing it on what? On a 12-year-old child?
Yo.
There isn't even a reference of this life that we supposed to live by. Anyway, coming back to my point.
A thought to ponder.
You know what I'm saying?
A thought to ponder.
So now, and this thing is perfection, which is quite relative in any case.
Yeah.
Like how sex and woman is looked at, you know, in the word and so on.
Yes.
But anyway, and some of these things, a lot of these things are not natural. they are not natural. That's why we keep going back to them, because they don't deal with growth. Like ungumoni already, you already a mess up nje by the time uzalwa. You know what I'm saying? That can never make sense. And sisono is when it's not looked as growth, because now you've done experiments in science. Until you've done experiments, you know exactly how that chemical reacts with the other one. But now kukumosha ogana no, it's like umoshile, therefore you must be punished. So it does not even allow for growth. Now, if you cannot be as perfect as that, what is the next thing that you're going to do? You're going to try finding other people that you are more perfect than. And that is what's happening among us.
I see.
That is what's happening among us.
So, where are you digging, Zwai? Where are you immersing yourself, within this newfound way, spirituality that has just opened up before you?
Yeah. An analogy I like to make is the boat Tkzee like malume upaye like they were quite like
yes
they were like
yes
they were like dad and the colors and like something
beautiful,
exactly, like say a colleague like a Penny has that, or
yes
you may never have been noticing that car on the road, but now you start noticing it. Okay? When your eyes open up to a particular, let's call it a thing, okay? Those things may have been the drugs are like that, or like it's like these things were around you all the time, but you were not open to them. You were open to these things that kept feeding you.
Yeah,
bo? So then you start opening up. My awakening just opened me up to like, it's a world. And what you are looking for will come to you. And now I've grown so much into that understanding that I am a God. If I'm in the image of God, therefore I'm a creator. Especially with the energy that we have.
Right.
The energy that we have, that you can bring. Kuthiwa kune party ngeminute ile or uzawubona uzibani, you can start bringing that moment there to here and start feeling nama sensations why.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the quest for truth and the quest for more information. Yes, I read Dr. John Henry Clark, you know what I'm saying? Our scholars and the great men and some of our own, like there's a lot of literature which is not easily available.
Yes.
But what I do not want to do is bring that to those that have not woken up yet. Because there's always been pressure on us. Hey, I must read my Bible. Hey, I must this. I wonder, like, it's just like, it's negative stuff. And actually all that needs to happen is to be honest with yourself. Be honest with how you are feeling. Be honest with where you are.
Who feels it knows it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, once you feel it, you instinctively
we tell ourselves that we're not allowed to feel that.
Yes.
No, I mustn't feel this. But you are feeling it.
Of course.
And
it's always there.
And what I'm pushing is just the understanding of self. I've been doing a lot of writing, even pre-COVID and post. And by the time I was sitting on my lockdown, I was already living that. I was already by myself. And about Tkzee, when I'm sitting and creating Kuza, I tap onto another sphere and music. So it's no longer music for me, or what I create, or what chord, or what key I start on. It's about the state of being
of mind
that I need to be at.
Because I guess at some stage you transcend into other realms, right?
Yes.
So
if I really want to, if I need to write a song, or I need to come up with this thing, I want people to be moved, I need to be moved. So there's a certain space spiritually that I need to be at. Dude, everything else just falls into place. Because Angiti education gave me those things as tools.
Yes.
They did not give me music. They did not give me ideas. It's just tools that I know, but I can tap onto that. I can just draw that in order to create that. But most importantly, it's where I am spiritually. And I need to be at the right place, at an embracing place. If I'm sitting there, then it's gonna be an ish. Yeah. I'm gonna be in an H space.
Thing. Yeah, H space.
Yeah,
and this space. Music, sisphiwo sakho that you were given by abantu abadala. Yes. And therefore you need to respect it.
And I need to understand that first. This is not about me. This is not about me trying to cause someone else harm by being where. Because ngilana. So never forget yourself. Never forget yourself.
So what are you finding is coming now in as far as music and the expression thereof when you get transported, to those realms that you find yourself at 3:00 in the morning, just possibly unleashing onto a piano or whatever the case is?
Well, it's beautiful spaces, but it's really...
I love the little smile as you think of it.
Because it's trying to put it into words.
Yeah.
They're trying to put it into words.
Yeah.
You see, labeling of things or even methods or anything that falls under a particular construct, or you'll ask the experts, they'll give you within the constructs of this thing. But when you are not even creating, but when you just in there, okay? So make sure, but that's what you get down.
Yes.
So press record and then live.
Unleash.
Not like, okay, now it must come in at bar, 1, 2, 3, and do. Yeah. Then it becomes constructed.
Yes.
Then you're being guided by some guidelines. Put a microphone on, with a microphone, and just press record because it needs to be gone. And then you can go back there and make an analysis of what was great. But the actual creation of it was from a true place.
It needs to be at
authentic
core center.
Yes.
Of what, was coming before you at that time. Right?
Yes.
It's quite interesting. And, I can't wait, to hear, and hopefully, not in the, in the far-fetched future, future, what, you've been able to conjure up sort of musically. Meaning Indigo Child was the only solo album, I think, that...
Yeah, it was the only solo album
that you dropped.
And I was like, this whole industry thing, like people they'll be listening to my
stuff.
You
sound disappointed. It was a beautiful piece of work.
No, it was a beautiful piece of work. Yeah, it's just that as an album, it was released. You wanna when it falls under those record company things. For me, I'm glad that it's there and available as people grow into understanding what I create and what I'm about.
Right.
Then there's something to go to. We are as part of the reference. Like, hey, I found an old book by Masekela. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so
in
that regard.
Yeah, in that regard. So I know that those things could, or those qualities could bring about a lot of questioning, like how, and like just intrigue or interest. And I'm looking forward to be able to saying to people, it's just spending time with myself. Explore and exhaust what I have within me first before I go and ask for someone else to do it.
Right.
And I'm okay with playing those worship songs or whatever at 4 a.m. and being in the complete worship mode and just be in that space, and be in that space and what I'm hoping to just present out there and be able to encourage people is that even when they're presenting their music, I want to do shows or call it Netflix specials.
Yes.
Where it's like concerts where there's no audience. Not that audience is not allowed, but if you're coming there and you're sitting there for you. I'm not looking for, thousands of,
You've seen that.
Because, and it's not about that. And it's not about that. So being in a position where I can, I choose to know actually, I can just go the easy route.
Yeah.
And get that validation.
Sure.
But what will stick with people is that personal experience. And I want everything must be about that. And collaboration with yourself, Chief. Young Tol. So that's what. So, I'm going to be presenting in a month or so, a concept called for now, I guess the working title, My Sacred Black.
My Sacred Black.
Black, like place.
Oh, black.
Yeah.
Oh, Indao.
Yeah, Indao.
Black. Yeah.
And we can create those. I'm beginning to get into meditation.
Yeah.
But everything I come across or I start reading, it gets there.
So tapping into yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that.
Being in touch with yourself.
And we don't need, when we're praying or we add some, let's pray. You don't need to be holding a microphone so that everyone must hear what you are telling us. What are we doing? Who are we talking to?
That moment.
You know, we are not channeling people to themselves. We keep making them dependent on what's outside of them. You know, no, you need to go to this place every Sunday to live.
Yeah. And you don't deposit towards yourself.
Nothing is being deposited, and deliberately so. You know, so real empowerment is in getting people to realize who they are, and they need to forgive themselves. And we always like, hey, when you are telela, it's always got to do with you. What about that person? You know, and taking care of each other I believe is taking care of each other in that way, you know.
I'm wondering if we could get possibly a sample of what, you're talking about when you say getting back to what? My black.
My sacred black.
My sacred black. If you can.
Yeah. Susayam divile inyaniso ubujebibam ubukosibam namhlala semadulo divile ngam insusayam divile inyaniso ubujebibam Kosibam namshana semandulo vibalozam zabiwanga masela kokengobam nenzalo yam engazange yaphela umhlaba wami zibalozam zabiwanga masela kokengobam nendawo yami engazange yaphela.
Oh, Fondin. It sounds choral.
Yeah.
It's got, sprinkles of that, but the lyrics obviously, speak of something else.
Yeah. So
beautiful.
So, yes, I studied music.
Yeah.
But actually what I studied is church music.
Yes.
And, yes, church music, but I understood how it's set up. But that's how we've come to understand how to even harmonize and sing amongst ourselves. But it's not that church music that they did. Yes, in its conceptual, like theoretically speaking. But as angomandandizala kwi-cathedrals na kwi-organs nendoni, they take a different form.
Yeah.
So I connect on what I understand, how they'll connect with it.
Yes. Wow.
So the science of understanding,
take on it, yeah.
Understanding what clinically and technically, I guess, of how we function and how we relate to sounds and movements of music. Yeah, that's what I can tap, and I can't be like, I can't be doing that music because Oksalayo, it all started here in the first place.
It did, anyway.
And that's why now we can quickly catch on to it. We harmonize.
It's our thing.
We harmonize European music quicker than Europeans can.
Yeah. No.
So I'm tapping onto us, and this presentation is just piano and vocal. Again, which brings about that vibe of intimacy and spending
Personal.
time alone and
Yes.
personal. You know.
And you'll release this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually, I want to, shoot these videos where it's just me sitting and basically bring people into my space and see how I feel everything through.
Oh, it's gonna be extraordinary, you
Yeah.
know, as I picture it, and on how you plan to assemble it out, to us, you know, the listeners, right?
Yeah. And there are maybe even other songs that people know them as blah, but when I actually go down to the essence of the actual song, the actual melody, and hopefully folk will be able to hear it in a fresh way and for the true meaning of what it actually is. We need to simplify a lot of things.
Yeah.
There's too much this.
Yeah.
And we are leaving ourselves
At times
behind.
you just need to
phone in.
and say, "Ba, I better net da."
Yes.
Net da.
Yes, and we are missing that. And we are missing that.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, on Indigo Child, you know, that interpretation of yours, yendireti ka
Oh, yeah.
simple wedana.
Yeah,
Nayo, it was
that
just
is
something
that's
else.
a good example. Yeah,
You know, because it just sort of, closed it up. But then at the end, it sort of, took another dimension where, you brought back the Tkzee factor. Kanje ni scene, but easy.
See that? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a very good example.
But uthetha
actually, of what-
ngodikana, you uthetha ngefamily yakho as well, you know?
Yes.
Yele makyoma.
Yeah.
Dikana
And
makyoma.
abantu basekhaya bayazidla ngam. It's I'm their project.
Yeah, they have to. They have to.
So how can I expect everything that's around me and everything that is me to work with me when I don't acknowledge it and say, let's go?
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
yes.
So we don't have to go with the crowds all the time. Just go with, trust me. If the less you do yourself is the more you're robbing the rest of the world of what you could be offering.
And Tkzee, as you look forward, is there still a way forward? In as far as that chapter is concerned?
Well, I think over the years we've learned to respect the legacy that we, whether mistakenly created or a part of, of creating, and just honoring that and acknowledging ukuthi iTkzee akusiye yethu yabantu.
It will stay alive.
Yeah,
It has to.
Yabantu. So we're honoring that. It's not like Tina's phone. It's not us. It's not us anymore. It's what belongs to the people. So it's really been keeping that alive and just honoring it as it spurs up. As people say, "Hey, I miss Tkzee," and they call us up and for us to present that. And but in terms of creating new music, I don't think there's any pressure. And that was that because it is what it is.
Yeah.
And the Kumbuleba, it was particular to the time. And, we don't have to duplicate things or just because we're wanting to create that thing. That's where it starts getting messed up.
Yeah.
Something needs to be what it is. And it's based on time, environment, and everything.
There'll never be another Halloween, right? Halloween was just something special. It was almost like you guys were just given. Bye. Tatan Bafan.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean?
What I'm saying?
There will never be.
Yeah. I mean, even us sitting here.
Yeah.
That moment when we met each other and we're in that, it plays such a big role into us sitting here now.
Yes.
That has meaning. We can't try and recreate that.
But
it just is what it is.
It is what it is.
Let's rest comfortably in our truth. Not everything is our fault. We didn't create. Just try to make the best decisions we can every day and be aligned with what we're supposed to be.
So I can't let you go before playing "We Love This Place," song close to my heart. You haven't dabbled in anything Tkzee since you've been there. It's just a wonderful song, for me, even spiritual, because it talks about any place or space, and possibly a place that you were talking about, oneself. And you gotta love your being, it sort of takes me there, although possibly when penning it down, it was different interpretations.
Yeah.
But for me, loving this place, I love this place.
Absolutely.
I love this place of mine.
That's exactly what it is. It's everybody's own experience.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
how we love it here. We really love this place today. The music is playing, and that's why we're saying we really love this place. Oh, how we love it here. Oh, we really love this place today. The music is playing, and that's why we're saying we really love this place. Oh, we love it. Oh, we love it here. We love this place. Oh, we love it. Oh, we love it here. We love this place. Oh, we love it. Oh, we love it here. We love this place. Oh, we love it. Oh, we love it here. We love this place. Ooh,
Rest in peace, Shabalala, Tukullo Magesh. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Zwai Bala. Mzwandile, diabulela kamak fondine va.
Thank you, my friend.
Oh man, that was
Bless
beautiful.
you. Thank you, my brother.
No man.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
House of Sankofa.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. We're going back. We're retrieving what we've missed out on in order for us to make a clear way and a clear path for us to move forward efficiently and in light, and for younger generations, to make it easier for them to tread softly within this path. Siyacamakusha, we give thanks.
Ashe. Come on.